The Pistons played a very competitive game against the Miami Heat, and they almost had it. They had a chance to win the game on what should have been the final possession, but Cade took a last shot. Actually, not a last shot because he took it too early. We'll talk about his decision to do that and everything that happened in this game in today's episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I am your host, Kuka Hill. You can find me over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to the YouTube channel or leave us a 5-star review or whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. Helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster and easier. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. So we'll be talking about the last shot and the final 20 seconds against the Miami Heat. Later on, we'll talk about some of the concerns I have with Jaylen Duren that's been peaking up a little bit. And then this upcoming rough stretch the Pistons have with their schedule over the next week or so, week and a half. But obviously, we got to start with the last shot. So the Detroit Pistons lost this game Sunday afternoon to the Miami Heat, 104-101. Bam Adebayo hit a game winner. It's his third three of the season. He hit it from a few feet behind the three-point line as time expired. Won the Heat the game. And what's caused such a big ruckus and what has, been such the big problem is that the Miami Heat even got that shot in the first place. Because the Pistons got a steal on the previous Miami Heat possession, and the shot clock was turned off. They had the ball, they had possession of the ball, and there was no shot clock, which means the Detroit Pistons could have held this shot, this possession, all the way until 0-0 and taken the very last shot. And Miami would have never had a chance. Either there was going to be the Pistons win or overtime, here we go. I'm assuming that's what 99% of Pistons fans and anyone watching was thinking. But what ended up happening was Cade Cunningham took a pull-up jumper with 10 seconds remaining. The Miami Heat got the ball back, rushed in transition, pitched it back to Bam Adebayo, who was trailing, and he hit a game-winning three. And now Cade is under heavy fire. Does he deserve to be under heavy fire? Cade, you're my guy. Ashton, the whole crew. Cannon, you guys are my guys. Cade deserves this. Cade deserves to be under fire for this one. And the thing that sucks the most is that Cade played so well to get the Pistons back into this game and potentially win this game at the last second. In the fourth quarter, he was 3 of 5, 7 points, 2 assists. In the final 6 minutes, he either scored or assisted on every bucket. He hit the layup, back-to-back shots. He hit the layup to tie the game. I thought the Pistons, I thought he was going to get the last shot and have a chance to game the Heat and really, really put a stamp on this. And this would have been a really good win. Remember, we've been talking about how the Pistons have a rough schedule. We'll talk about it later, but we've been talking about how they need to steal one of these if they want to avoid going on another long losing streak. And this game was right there. Now, maybe they don't win. Okay, definitely not guaranteeing that Cade hits the game winner. Definitely not guaranteeing that. Not guaranteeing that if he just waits, they get a better shot, he gets a better. That's not what I'm saying at all. Maybe they go to overtime anyways and they lose. It very well possibly was going to happen. But they didn't even get to that point. When the shot clock's turned off, you want to wind that time down. You want to make it to where you guys are getting that last shot or nothing. Either we're going to overtime or we're winning this. That should be the mentality. And Cade did not do that. He took a shot with 10 seconds left, and it was a massive mistake. For what it's worth, Jamal Murray also made this mistake in the same day against the Dallas Mavericks, and they lost because of it. Kyrie Irving came down and hit a game winner. By the way, absolutely insane game winner from Kyrie Irving. So that's the first thing I want to say. Or maybe not, that's not the first thing I've been saying. That's probably like second or third. But one of the things I wanted to say is that this happens. This is not like some super crazy rare thing. Players have made this mistake before. Guys have taken the shot a little too early and left a little bit too much time on the clock, whether it's Now, Cade did it a little bit extreme because he left 10 seconds on the clock. Or not 10 seconds. He shot it with 10 seconds, which is not great at all. But guys have taken a shot with like 5 seconds left and left like 2.5 seconds left, or left 3 seconds left. Like that's happened a lot. That happens a lot. You shouldn't, like that's not the process. And most of the time they try to aim for the last shot. But I guess that's one of the things I wanted to say is that everyone's acting like Cade just made like this boneheaded play that's never been made before. No, it's been made before. It's definitely a mistake and something he'll learn from. After the game, he talked about it. His reasoning for it was he had a matchup he liked in Jaime Jaquez. He thought he had one-on-one. They were him and Fournier and Monty after the game said that they were planning on the final few plays to just go 4 low and ice okay to the top. And that's what they had done the previous 2 plays, and it worked out. So they got in a position with the Miami Heat defense scrambling. He got his matchup with Jaime Jaquez, and he said that he wanted to get the shot up before the double team came, and he said he felt like the double team was coming. He said he sensed the double team coming, and he wanted to get a shot up before that double showed up. I understand that. Like that I understand that thought process. Just not when you can just run the shot, the time off the clock. You don't have a shot clock. You want to make it to where the other team just does not have that opportunity to game you before the end of regulation. So, and Cade shot, like the shot he took, I don't have a problem with it. Like the step back 3, I have no problem with the shot he took. It's just the time he took it at. If he takes that shot with 3 seconds left, okay, I'm no problem at all. Heck, even if he takes it with like 5 seconds left, like then people maybe are saying, oh, you could have ran it down a little bit more. But I don't know if Miami's able to get then, a rebound, push it down the court, and get a quality look all within 5 seconds. Like even around then, it would have been fine. But with 10 seconds left, man, you're really leaving the other team a ton of time to get down the court and get a look off. And that's what happened. The Heat won. So it's a rough mistake. Definitely not a mistake. Not something you would expect Cade to do. It's something he'll learn from. It's definitely not something you wanted to see. And it's not the reason why the Pistons lost the game, but it contributed to why they lost the game for sure. And he has to be better than that. He can't do that. He can't have that decision. He can't make that mistake. And he said that again after the game. He mentioned that this is going to be something that beats him up and that he knows he made a mistake and he messed up. And he said, I think the actual quote he said was hindsight's 2020, but these games are going by your like you can't just wait to the next one. Like these games are going by. You got to get these wins when you can, especially with this type of team. So I know he's beating himself up and he's going to learn from it. But definitely in a game like this, when you had a chance to win, it's rough. It's a tough decision to make, and a tough mistake to have. The other thing I want to mention with Cade before we get into Jaylen Duren, his shooting, something to keep an eye on. The last 4 games before the last 4 games, he wasn't being put on the injury report. The last 4 games, he's been put on the injury report as questionable each game. And then over the last 4 games, this is why he's shooting from deep. Shooting 2 of 10, 2 of 5, 0 of 4, 1 of 6. Not great. Something to keep an eye on because since we already talked about how since the All-Star break, he was the best 3-point shooter in the league. We've been talking about over the last 44 games, he was shooting around 38% from deep. This last episode, we talked about how he's shooting 38% pull-up threes, like all of that stuff. The last 4 games, he's not hitting his shots. Now, why I'm saying this to keep an eye on it, because it's an 82-game season. Guys have a few games when they struggle. Like, it goes up and down. Like, that's just what happens. Reason why you want to keep an eye on it is because is it just like a little mini stretch where it's like, hey, his shot's off, he will bounce back? Is it that? Is he actually hurt? Is he dealing with something that like, is his knee really taking the lift off his shot again? Or is he regressing towards the mean? Is he like having a regression towards the mean? Like, you want to find that out. I believe that he's just going to end up bouncing back. I think he's just in a mini slump. He'll be fine. And he also hasn't played well against Miami. He played 2 games back-to-back against Miami. We've talked about that, how Miami's not a good matchup to him. He struggled throughout his career against Miami. But I think this is just a mini slump for him, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Because he had been shooting so well for 40-so games. You want to make sure that wasn't just like a hot – I mean, that is a pretty large sample, 40 games in a season. But you want to make sure that's not just a hot streak. I don't think it is because, like I said, 40 games is a pretty damn long sample to have of him shooting well. But, yeah, like I said, just keep an eye on it. He's getting quality looks. Let's just see if is that injury really bothering him. Let's see what they say about it. Is he continuing to pop up on the injury report with questionable and all that? Does he get a break? Do they rest him on the back end of the back-to-back? Well, just keep an eye on all that situation. I'm interested to see how they handle this and what goes on with this, because not making excuses, he needs to make his shots. I just think it's interesting that it lines up exactly when he starts showing up in the injury report again. I saw him with a knee brace on the sideline today's game. I don't know if that's something he's been doing, but it popped off to me today's game. But yeah, tough mistake from Cade tonight. Something he'll learn from. He can't do that. But more so, I want to watch his three-point shooting over the next few games. Is he just in a mini slump, or is he progressing back to the mean, or is he actually hurt? So watch for all of that. Let me know what you guys think. Comment section down below or over on Twitter @KukaHill. When we come back, I want to talk about Jaylen Duren, and I have some concerns. You guys will see what I'm talking about when we come back. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. It gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all that while making the process easy and intuitive. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make processes easier. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even easier and quicker. And that's why 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply with LinkedInjobs.com. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel @Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review or whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. I have some concerns with Jaylen Duren over the last I won't even say over the last few games. This has been something that I've been concerned about for a minute now with him. I just haven't talked about it as much, but I got to talk about it because it's starting to bother me to a point where I have to rant about it a little bit. And I have to voice my concerns and see if anyone else is noticing this or feeling the same way. Before I say that, I do want to give him props with this before people try to say that I'm being too harsh on him. 77% from the free throw line this year, fantastic. That is, last year he was at 61%. That's a 16% jump in one offseason. That is absolutely fantastic. He deserves a ton of credit for that. A ton of credit. And it's big. That's big time. That seriously is big time. So I want to give him a ton of props with that. He's also averaging, I don't know what's going on there, but also averaging a double-double. 14.1 points, 12.0 rebounds. Doing a fine job. Okay, he's making improvements to his game, no doubt. On the offensive end, he has made some improvements to his game at the free throw line, creating for himself a little bit. His footwork, his finishing, like he has improved some, 100%. And Jaylen, let me make this clear too. Jaylen Duren, I think, is still a really good prospect. Like, just because I'm bringing this stuff up and I have concerns about it does not mean I think he's a bad prospect. I think he's just as good of a prospect as I thought before. Like, these are just concerns that we have to talk about. You have to be honest about these guys. Like, you can't just turn a blind eye to this stuff. So what I want to talk about is this. Not even his defense. I think everyone is aware of the concerns about his defense and how that could be really concerning long term. Heck, it's concerning right now, but it could definitely be like a major concern long term. What I want to talk about is this. What made Jaylen Duren such an intriguing prospect to me last year and why I was so high on him is because of his processing. He processed the game very quickly last year as a rookie. As a rookie, he routinely made kick-out passes. He routinely made reads out of the short roll. He routinely found open players for three, whether it's for three or for backdoor cuts. Like, he found those guys. He made the right decisions. And if you guys remember into the offseason, I talked about a lot that I thought part of the Pistons offense could work around him at the high post as the hub of the offense. Maybe not as nowhere near as much as like maybe Sabonis, obviously Jokic, guys like that, Sengun. But it could be a part of the offense because of how good of a passer he was and how he was processing things and how, I spoke about how good the pick and roll with him and Cade could be because when they put 2 on ball with Cade, if you hit Duren 4 on 3, he's able to make those reads just like that. That's something that you need from your big man. Your 5-man in today's NBA has to be able to process rotations, has to be able to process the defense, it has to be able to make kick out passes and make that corner pass. Like he has to be able to do all that stuff. You have to. In this day and age in NBA, if you want to be great, you need that kind of thing, which is why I was so high on Duren. That's something that he has not been doing over the last month or so. And really, I think it was something you started to see. If you guys remember 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago now, I said in the podcast, there's some bad habits happening with this team. And once they become bad habits, you keep letting them do it over and over and over again. Bad habits don't go away. And that's when you end up screwed. That's when we were on the losing streak. And I was mentioning, look, if you don't, part of being on this losing streak, part of the things that Tim Legler, the podcast I mention all the time when he says what happens when you're on this type of team, bad habits develop because you're allowed to do whatever. And then it's hard to break those bad habits. Some players never end up breaking them. And one of the bad habits that Jaylen Duren has picked up on is no longer looking for the kickouts, no longer looking to make the right pass. He is now trying to do a lot himself to try and look to score way more than often. He is no longer looking to just make the right play. He's looking to score a lot more. For example, or not for example, but for reference, over the last 9 games, he is averaging 3.0 turnovers. He's averaging 2.9 assists. He's averaging more turnovers than assists over the last 9 games. He's averaging 3 turnovers a game for a guy who should not be having that high of a usage within your team. It's not like Duren's it's not like Duren is Sabonis. It's not like Duren is Jokic. It's not like he has a crazy high usage. It's not like you're asking him to create everything for you. That's not what it is. What's happening is, with Duren, is that now when he's getting the ball in the roll, he's not looking to make that corner pass. He's not looking to make that swing pass. He's looking to go score. When he gets there was a play tonight, perfect example. I don't have the exact timestamp, but when I saw it, it frustrated me so much. And it just emphasizes why I'm really concerned. Because this can't be something he continues to do. It takes away what makes him valuable. There was a play he had it on the right high post. He drove the ball to the rim. He got to the rim. He had 3 guys swarm around him. He's on the right side of the rim, and Simone Fontecchio is wide open on the left wing. Wide open. His guy has crashed down to Duren. And I promise you, at the beginning of this year or last year, Duren is making that pass like that. He is making that pass quick as ever. He's making that kick, and Simone Fontecchio is getting a great look. Instead, tonight, you saw him pump fake, try to do his reverse pivot move, try to finish on the other side of the basket, and got blocked. Bad process. Bad decision-making. Another play from tonight's game against Miami. He drove the ball. Or not drove the ball, I'm sorry. He ran a pick and roll with Cade. Cade threw it to him. He caught the ball. The opposite corner guy rotated down on him. Stopped him right there at the block. Then another guy came down, swarmed him. He was now double teamed at the block. You had someone wide open on the right wing. I want to say it was Fontecchio, but it may have been Fournier. Someone was wide open on the right wing. And instead of him making that pass, he tried to do something else with it. Turn the ball over. Another play. I believe this one happened in the 4th quarter at the end of the 3rd. Cade ran a pick and roll, had 2 on ball. They trapped him immediately. He threw it to Duren, and instead of Duren catching the ball at the high post and looking to make that immediate swing pass to the 2-on-1 on the weak side, he tried to take a few dribbles. He tried to do his own thing, lost the handle of it, turned the ball over. Miami gets a wide open layup in transition. These type of plays are becoming more and more and more common with Jaylen Duren. And this is why a few months ago, or maybe I'd say a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, why when I took heat for saying, yeah, this stuff he's doing, the ball in his hands, the creation, the finishing around the rim, the drives, that's cool. You probably don't want to see him doing that too much. That's not what you really need him to do. And everyone's like, oh, cool, that's great. You want to see him doing that stuff. That he's going to become a monster. Well, now that's all he's looking to do. Now he's the thing that made him a special prospect for me, his passing, his processing, his ability to make reads at the 5 position. Now he's no longer doing that. There was another possession tonight when he got the offensive rebound twice, back-to-back offensive rebounds. And tell me if this sounds familiar to Pistons fans over the last 10 years, to someone else. Got 2 offensive rebounds, and instead of kicking it out to a wide open shooter, on 4 guys routinely tried to go up over him, miss, Miami transition attempt, score. Who does that sound like to you guys? And when did that start happening in their career? And why was it never corrected? Oh, because of bad habits. Hard to break. So it's concern. This is becoming a bit concerning to me. Because like I said, beginning of this year and last year, Duren 100% is kicking that ball out. These 2-on-1 on the weak side passes, he's making those passes every time last year, at the beginning of this year. The drives when he would get to the rim, pick up his dribble. If Fontecchio was open last year, he's making that kick. It's not that he doesn't see it. It's not that he doesn't have the vision. We know he has the vision. We've seen him make those plays over and over and over again. We know he sees it. We know he can make that pass. It's just now his mind has switched to score mode. His mind has switched to, I can score. I want to do this. I want to drive and score. I want to show this is a part of my game. I want to finish around the basket. His first process is no longer what's the right read. His first process is, how can I go score? And it's putting himself in bad positions. It's putting the team in bad positions. And it's why he's averaging so many turnovers as a low usage guy. The last 9 games, he's having 3 turnovers a game. Twice he's had 5 turnovers. Against Toronto, he had 5. Against Chicago, he had 5. Charlotte, 3. Miami, 3. It's not this game. 2 turnovers. He was a minus 17 in this game. 4 of 10 from the field. All because he's forcing stuff. He's no longer playing the way that made him such an interesting prospect to me. And that's why it's concerning. That's why it's a big concern to me. Because it's becoming a bad habit. You got to break out of that. Someone's got to break him out of it. I'm not saying he can't ever drive to the basket. Not saying he should never use this improved finishing, this improved footwork, this ability to take guys off the dribble and get to the rim. That's not what I'm saying. That should be an added element to your processing, to your playmaking. The fact that you can now drive to the rim, now that the guys are respecting it, make the kick out pass like you can. It should not be something you're trying to do every single time. You can't have a guy averaging 3 turnovers a game that doesn't have that high of usage. You can't have low usage in your lineup and averaging more turnovers than Cade. Like or around the same turnovers as Cade. You can't. It just can't happen. The higher usage guys, sure. But the lower usage guys cannot be turning the ball over like that. You just can't. And then obviously if you add that on top of the defense, this is where my concerns are coming with Duren. So again, he doesn't have to stop with the dribble drives. He doesn't have to stop, showing his footwork off. Just get back to making the right reads. And if the read is, hey, I can get this to the basket, I can score here, then do it. But when the read is not that, stop forcing it. You're turning the ball over and you're leading to wide open transition attempts for the opposing team. It's becoming a bit concerning to me. But let me know if you guys have been seeing the same thing. Do you guys have the same concerns? Let me know. Comment section down below. Over on Twitter @KukaHill. When we come back, just want to talk about again with the Pistons' rough upcoming stretch they have. We'll talk about that when we come back. You know that instant confidence boost you get from an outfit that makes you look really good? That's what I get with Stitch Fix. Easily upgrade your wardrobe this year with a professional stylist that helps you find new on-trend favorites that will work for you. I just give my stylist my size, style, and budget preference. I order boxes when I want and how I want. No subscription required. And they send 5 just for me pieces, plus outfit recommendations, pro styling advice. I keep what works and I send back the rest. My stylist always sends just right pieces and the fit is on point. It's like they have a style ESP. I don't know how they do it, but they just get me. Stitch Fix makes it all so easy. I don't like to shop and they save me that time and effort. Plus, I got outfits that make me look and feel really good. And if you don't love something, just send it back. Shipping, returns, and exchanges are always free. Style that makes you feel as good as you look. Get started today at stitchfix.com/lockedon. That's stitchfix.com/lockedon. stitchfix.com/lockedon. Today, a style that makes you feel as good as you look. Get started today with Stitch fix. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. Another thing that happened in this game against the Miami Heat, just quick comment on it. I know some people probably want to hear me say something about it. Jaden Ivey didn't close this game. They went with Evan Fournier. Do I have a problem with that? No, I don't have a problem with it at all. Jaden Ivey, it's not that Jaden Ivey was playing terrible, but Fournier was playing extremely well. And not just on the offensive end, the defensive end. It's probably the best defensive game I've seen from him since he showed up in Detroit. And I don't mean that as in he just had an okay game because he's always been bad. Like, he actually was legit good defensively in this game. He had some key stops on Terry Rozier, including the foul, what should have been Miami's final possession that forced the turnover. Like, Fournier was really good down the stretch. He also hit 4 threes. He was playing extremely well. So the Pistons could have won this game at the end. Cade had a chance to win the game at the end. If they win this game, no one's talking about did Ivy play. And people are talking about when the Pistons win. That would be a problem. So, no, I don't have a problem with it. If Fournier was not playing well and he was hurting the team, like, yes, obviously I would have a problem. Why don't you have the better player in? But Fournier was playing spectacular in this game, and he was doing something on the defensive end that Ivy just wouldn't have been able to do, which is stay in front of Terry Rozier. So I get why Monty kept him out there. And if you're looking at winning the game, I mean, how could you say it didn't work? Because it did. They had a chance to win it. So, no, I don't have a problem with them not playing Ivy down the stretch. Anyways, Pistons have a rough schedule coming up. I think they might have a long losing streak coming on. It's going to be rough. They needed this game. They needed to pull out this game against Miami. Because before you didn't think they were going to win this. But like I said, there are some games that you don't expect to win, but maybe you have a chance to. And those are the games you have to take advantage of, because especially when you have this rough stretch coming up, you're not going to get another chance at it. And this was one of those games against Miami, because now the Pistons on the back end of a back-to-back tomorrow, or when you guys listen to this, probably tonight, Monday night, 7:30, the Boston Celtics. They're not beating the Celtics in Boston. Then they got Indiana. I mean, Indiana has blitzed them. I don't know how they can guard Indiana. I don't suspect they have a chance there, but Tyrese hasn't been playing that great. Nonetheless, their offense is just too much for the Pistons. I don't think that's something they're going to win. Then they play Boston again. Then they play New Orleans, which, by the way, is playing spectacular basketball. And we haven't heard that much about Zion eating too much, because he's been pretty damn spectacular for the last few months. And people just aren't noticing because people want to pay attention to Stephen A. Smith making off the wall comments. But this is a Pistons podcast. You guys want to hear about the Pelicans? Go listen to Jake Madison over at Locked On Pelicans. But Pelicans playing tremendous basketball, fun watch. If you guys want to find another team to watch besides the Pistons on off days, extremely fun team. But yeah, they're not going to be able to beat the Pelicans. I tell you that right now. Zion will destroy this team. So they're going to lose to the Pelicans. Then they got the Knicks. Then they got the Timberwolves, which without Cat, still, like you expect the Timberwolves to win that game. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 straight losses if they lose all those games. It's rough. If they could just steal one, they need to try to find a way just to steal one of these games, because after that, their schedule really softens up, and then they'll have the chance to really end on a good note. If they could just steal one of these games, maybe one or two, they could really end the year thinking positively, because this is what they got after the Timberwolves game. Washington, Memphis, Atlanta, Memphis again, Brooklyn, the Sixers, which is tough, but the Bulls, Dallas, and then San Antonio. So if they get through that stretch of their final what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Of their final 9 games, 7 of those are winnable. If they can win like a lot of those, like 6 of 7, I don't want to say 7-0 because doesn't see that happening. But if they can win like 6 or 7, then steal a game here, you're talking about seven wins in the final month of the season, final month and a half. They've won 5 games the last, what is it? They've won, how many games have they won over the last like month and a half? They've won a few. I'm pretty sure it's 5. They beat Chicago. They beat the Nets. They beat the Hornets. They beat the Raptors. Well, they beat another team. Who was? They beat Portland. So that's 5 wins since February 8th. 4 wins in the last like 2.5 weeks. So if they could win like 6 of 7 of those easy games and then steal 1 here, steal 2 here, I mean, you're ending on a pretty good note. You're ending on a pretty good note for this team. So that's why this one hurts so much. They're going to have to steal one somewhere. If I had to take a guess, I'd say the game to watch that they could steal, I guess, is Indiana at home on March 20th. The Indiana game, and then the Knicks game on the 25th. Those are the two games I say to watch for that they could steal. But if they don't steal those ones, it could be rough. It could be rough. But that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on, or hit that subscribe button at YouTube. We're on our way to 8,000 subscribers. We're like 40 subscribers away from 8,000. Help us get there. I really appreciate it. But that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys. Catch you guys on the next one. Stay safe out there. And until next time, peace out.